To Veronica Makhoali, who's been keeping an eye on these developments. There's some worrying things we're hearing, Veronica, and this certainly is not going to land well with the community there who have been raising this historically, and there are concerns that something related to contaminated food might have led to the deaths of the children in the community. Talk to us more about what those officials are saying and whether there has been that opportunity to engage with the community.
Well, Iman, I can tell you for now that the officials have officially closed down one of the Spaza shops. We are now at a second location, and it's even worse than the first. When you speak about the issue of contamination as well as residents as well and what they've had to say, many are quite upset in regards to the closure and this inspection as it follows. Many of them saying that it shouldn't just come after tragedy has to hit the community for them to feel as though a more proactive approach needs to be taken by officials. But I'm going to walk you through just this second location, and it doesn't really need an expert to tell you just about some of the alarming conditions over here. In fact, one of the first things that were picked up, as I've mentioned throughout this inspection, that officials have been combing through these food items one by one, checking expiration dates. Some of them don't have them. Many of them have been rubbed off. They've also been complaining about issues of packaging, saying that some of these products are not in their original packaging. Some of them don't even have barcodes, which makes it very difficult to trace this food item. Among some of the other issues that were picked up just from this Spaza shop alone, apart from its dilapidating roof, which has holes in it and gaping gaps as well, where food items are sitting directly, you can only imagine the kind of things that would be able to have access into the Spaza shop directly to food items and sources. It's also the issue of the discoloration of some food items. As I've mentioned earlier, some of these food products not having barcodes or even expiry dates at all. There was also quite an alarming shelf where there were actual cleaning supplies, chemical supplies sitting directly next to food items, being sauces, tomato sauces, mayonnaise as well. Another big one has also been the damaging of tin items, pilchards, beans in these tin items that have been damaged entirely. And this is essentially the process we're seeing. This is in fact the Spaza shop owner. We're going to try to speak to him. Sir, I mean, what is happening right now? We've seen the inspection, the guys, what are they telling you to do with these food products now? What are they telling you to do with these items? What are you doing with these items?
I want to cancel this.
They want to?
Cancel.
And where are you taking it?
To return this.
Yeah. And what are they saying? Are they going to tell you to close down your Spaza shop?
Yeah, I don't know, I want to open now.
Yeah, and this really has been the reaction from many of these Spaza shop owners. As you understand, this is a sting operation. Many of them caught off guard and having to be told by officials the direct issues and the direct, one could say, significant health risk and hazards that they are posing to the community. It really, Iman, would not need a health expert when we walked into this specific Spaza shop to see that this is a clear violation of even not just health and safety, but also just the conditions in which some of these food items are placed. But again, it also stems to the issue of the community. If they had not been able to see this, if this is not troubling for them, many of them saying that they don't mind this, many of them saying that they need these sort of establishments. But again, that issue that was raised of saying that it should not just be a compliance that is done off the back of the fact that there was tragedy within a community and that there are still investigations happening, but rather it should be a regular operation that is done to curb what is really a mushrooming crisis in terms of Spaza shops, especially in townships where there is very, very a lot of lack of compliance. And so what we do know officially from the officials here, they say that they will be taking some of the food items here that is under investigation. They will be testing them as well to check for any contamination as well, and to also investigate where these food products are from. They've been asking the Spaza shop owners as well, do you have any sort of proof of purchase? Where are you buying this from? Which warehouses are you getting it from? Many of them have been unable so far to actually provide that documentation to the officials. That was in fact the first one that we're at, and that was the reason cited by officials why it had to close. They could not verify or provide any paperwork in regards to where they are getting their supplies from some of the items that have been questioned here.
So many things have gone wrong, and I think the thing that resonates the most, Veronica, is that community members have been lamenting the quality of products that they purchase, the ambiguity around whether something has expired or not. You're sharing with us that officials are seeing that the expiration dates either don't exist or there have been attempts made to rub that off. You're hearing from one owner, or ostensibly one of the owners there, who are saying he's now going to cancel those goods. Why are they on the shelf in the first place? Why are community members having to complain about the same thing consistently, year in and year out? And this is, again, this can be a tinderbox. We've seen in the past where the community has raised issues like this, and that's resulted in a great deal of anger and a great deal of violence in our communities. This is a risk that Spaza shop owners are placing not only on their own lives, but everyone else in the community who would get caught up in the reaction to the fact that they are being sold things that they should not be sold in the first place.
Certainly, Iman, and I think one of the big things as well that has come out from just this raid alone and looking at the conditions of the Spaza shop, it also says a lot in terms of officials, councillors, even local councillors, who would allow community members, who would allow children, families to get their products from a place that is shoddy, to say the least. It says also the dignity as well, apart from the health risk that have been attached to these kind of operations, these kinds of establishments. It's also the dignity of a community. What does it say as well of local leaders to allow family members, to allow community members to buy from places where you can clearly see that this product shouldn't be sold to people? It says a lot about the way in which we also view our communities and their access essentially to food, their access to dignity, their access to health and safety, Iman. But as we continue to walk through, trying to make our way through some of these tight corridors, you can see that some of the food here that has been supplied, when we were speaking earlier to one of the residents saying that some of them, the expiration date is from at least last year already. It's things that should definitely not be on the shelves. And they continue, of course, to ask the Spaza shop owner to account for these items that we're looking at right now. In fact, this is oil, cooking oil, and essential for any South African household, and essentially explaining that some of these products are not right. And you'd also imagine as well, Iman, that most of the food items that you find in Spaza shops are what we'd honestly call, a food basket. We're looking at your basic items, bread, rice, beans, things that are able to feed large families in quantities. And so when issues of contamination arise, it also then creates an issue of just how many people can be affected, how many households at one time can be affected by this. And so we continue to watch the officials as they raid. Again, a very different sense from last week when community members themselves had to take this approach. This time we're seeing it as a more law enforcement operation. It's calmer, but what it does also bring is accountability as these Spaza shop owners are asked item by item, why is this expired? Why is this sitting in the shelf? Why is there milli meal directly sitting on the floor? And I can tell you, Iman, speechless is all we're getting from the owner, not being able to account, not even being able to speak back to say, look, this is the situation. And it says really a lot in regards to where we need to be in terms of accountability for the kind of conditions we allow our communities, our families to live in.
Shop owners who will sell things that are year-long expired. We're talking about 1 or 2 food items. It seems like there are a number of items that particular owner is removing from the shelves. Speaks to and demonstrates the absolute disdain that those suppliers have for the health and safety of the community, the dignity and the respect that they should have to be able to provide those services to our communities. You talked about accountability. We also need consistency, Veronica, in terms of these enforcement operations. And we can see the scale of the problem is big. Our Veronica Makhoali out and about for us in Naledi, Soweto, where an enforcement campaign being driven by the Consumer Goods Council, together with law enforcement, is currently underway. We'll leave it there for now and come back later. Rand Waters